Hello viewers, welcome back to this course. In this session, we are going to discover several ways of entering dates and time in Excel. You can type in various configurations of date and Excel will automatically recognize it as a date, and upon pressing enter, it will convert it to a date serial number and apply a date format on the cell. For example, I have several formats of entering the date in Excel. I have several formats here. I have several formats. You can see it. We are going to explore each of it one after another. Okay. I believe in practical. Let us jump into Excel so that you will understand several ways of entering dates and time. I open Excel. Okay, I have more format here. I have more different ways of entering date and time. If you enter any of these value I have here into the Excel cell, Excel is going to recognize it as date. For example, if I want to enter 1st of January 2024, let me select this cell. I can just type 1-2024 like this. I can enter it like this and press enter. Do you see Excel recognize this as date? You can see under this number format here, it has formatted it as a date. Okay, let me just select a different cell here. I just selected this cell. Let me enter the second one, which is this one. You can equally copy it. I will not enter all of them. Okay, I have already shown you different format you can enter date and time, and Excel will recognize it. Okay, so let me enter the second one. I enter 1/1/24. Then this 24 represent the year, that is 2024. Excel is going to recognize what I enter in this cell as 1st of January 2024. Let me press enter now. Do you see it recognize it as 1st of January 2024? You can also see it display at the formula bar when you highlight the cell. I will just pick any of this format randomly, but you can experiment with any of them. I've already experimented with all of them. Okay, I can also select this cell and type 1 space January, that abbreviation of January, another space, then 2024. Okay, let's see whether Excel is going to recognize this as a valid date. If it recognizes it as a valid date, it is going to display 1st January 2024. I just type 1 January as abbreviation and 2024. Let me press enter now. Do you see that Excel recognizes it as a valid date format, and you can see it at the formula bar. You can see it display 1st of January 2024. Depending on the format you are entering the date, it is also formatting it based on the format you are entering it. Because I enter it to have the abbreviation of the month, you can see it recognizes it as 1st January 2024 with the 2-digit year. Okay, now let me select another one here. Let me select this one that have a full month display. Let me select this one. I will just paste it here. Do you see that Excel recognized that date format? They recognize it and also abbreviated it like the previous one. What I entered there is January. I just entered January in full like this. Then 1, separate it with comma. I enter 2024 like this. It simply means that when you enter a date like this, Excel is going to recognize it as a valid date. Let me press enter now. You see it is still return the same thing. So I want you to experiment with different format of entering date in Excel. I also have the one that is not valid. When you experiment with this one, you just tick the standard that you want to be applying for your date. Okay, mostly this standard and this standard are the most common standard we use in Excel. For example, can equally enter a date like this, 1st of January 2024. Press enter and we have it 1st of January 2024. If you enter this format I have here using period to separate it, let's try it out. I type January 1st 2024. Let's see whether Excel will recognize it as a date. Let me press enter. Do you see Excel does not recognize it as a date? And if you look at the formula bar, it is still the same thing. Excel just see this as a normal text. It does not recognize what we have here as a date. If I copy this one like this and paste it in the cell, Excel does not recognize it as a date. As you can see, it is only showing it as a text. Okay, we also have some tips here. Date that display hash in a cell usually indicate that the column is simply not wide enough to display it. Okay, so what it means that if I reduce this cell that contains this date now, let me reduce it to be very small. Do you see it is now showing hash? All the valid date now is now showing hash. Okay, you see those one that does not display as date, it is just a normal text. But all those one that have valid date, because the column is very small to contain the date, that is why it is showing this hash. Okay, and that is what this tips is referring you to. If I expand it now, you can see it is now showing all the date. So let me quickly enter different format here. Let me select this one. I'll be copying it and pasting it. Copy it. Okay, Excel recognize it as a date. Let me copy this one and paste here. Okay, Excel also recognize it as a date. Let me copy this format. You can see different way of entering the date, and Excel is recognizing them as a date. Let me also copy this one, paste it here. Excel also recognize it. Let me select this format and paste it here. Excel is recognizing them as a valid date. Let me just copy this one and paste it here. Excel also recognize it as a date. Look at this one that I just have 1/1. Now there is no year. Let's see what Excel is going to return. Let me copy it and put it in this cell. Let me put it here. Do you see that Excel recognize it as 1st January 2024? Okay, because even though I do not include the year, Excel applied the current year, because Excel recognized this as January 1st, so it applied the current year, which is 2024. You can see it here. Let me just copy this one, the one with full month name. Let me put it here to recognize it. Let me shift this one small. Let me copy the invalid date now and put it here. Okay, this is just a normal text. Excel does not recognize this one as a date. As you can see, it is appearing the same way I put it in the cell. Okay, let me output the what Excel return for each of these formats. All I need to do, I select this cell. Then let me just type equals to, I select this cell that contain our date. Remember, this is how we enter the date. Okay, but Excel recognize it as a valid date. Let me just press enter. You can see to recognize them as a valid date. Let me just use the autofill. Okay, I just use the autofill and you can see that it fill the rest. But here, remember that this one, it just display it as a text. This one is not a valid date. Now let us get the serial number of each of these dates we entered here. I select this cell. I'm going to type equals to. All I need to do is just to output the date. Okay, like this. Do you see it return it as a date? For you to change this as a serial number, all you need to do is to change the number format to general. Let me change it to general. Do you see that it returned the serial number? Okay, let me use the autofill. Let me use the autofill like this. You can see that all the valid date have a serial number, but this one that is not valid, do you see it? It return it the way it is because it is just a normal text. Okay, I hope with this illustration you understand the different format of entering date in Excel. Stay tuned as we continue in this session.